Yo, what's going on, guys? Who else? Who caught? Let me know in the chat if you guys caught this NQ play, man. This was absolutely textbook. This is exactly. Remember, I even said like this is why this was my main focus. But there was a lot of plays today, and this is why, man. I always try to preach being patient, man, because you don't want to miss days like today. Where again, whether you're trading currencies, and I'm going to go through that as well. Whether you're trading indices, metals, like there's opportunities if you just wait for them. And I know it's hard. Trust me, I know it's hard because sometimes you want to like pass that eval. You want to get to that payout. Maybe you have one more benchmark day. But I'm telling you guys, man, like this is by far some of the. I just yeah. I mean, you guys see it week in week out, man. There's always opportunities. Even if you miss this, man. Even if you miss this, I don't want to give anyone FOMO. Even if you miss this, who cares? There's going to be another opportunity, probably tomorrow after FOMC or maybe Thursday. Who knows when the opportunity is there? But that's why it's important to stay focused and don't blow your account in the meantime. Trust me, I've been there so many times, like, and I know that exact feeling. So for this one, Abe, I'm gonna post it inside the link. It's also in the description if you want to check. It's Gates FX. That's typically the one that I'll use like for like swings. So any higher time frame trades that I'll have, usually I'm gonna anything that I want to hold, I'll typically use that. Because with CFD props, some of them have like the equity drawdown when you hold the position going into the new day. I don't really like that, to be honest. And then obviously futures, you can't really hold any positions. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Yep, 10 a.m. candle. Beautiful. Like, see that thing. This is why I always say, like, I talked about it in yesterday's commentary video. People will see this move and they'll be like, oh, like this was the move that I was talking about yesterday with the hourly EBP, with inverts this as well, right? This could be like a very early entry before the market structure shift. But some people will see this and they'll think, oh my God, the bias is over. Let me go look at something else. Let me know in the chat if any of you guys have done that before, because I know I have. I've done that so many times, but there's still meat on the move. And even if, bro, even if you missed this move, and I even said it, I was like, just wait for the retest if this 4-hour candle closes above this high. What happens? We close above it, but we don't get the retest right away. But this high is still intact. We create a fair value gap inside candle. So inside candle is a candle inside of this. This is another play, bro. This is another setup right here. The 10 a.m. The 6 a.m. candle. This candle during market open drops down into this area. What did I say to watch for? I said watch for this area as a retest. What do we get? Again, just because I have a level marked out, it doesn't have to be hit on that next candle. We went into a little bit of a consolidation. During the market open, we hit that exact level. And then boom, off to the races to clear out the high. And now even on the 4-hour EBP, look at that. Next candle opens. Can you look for an entry inside this 4-hour? To be honest, I don't really like the fact. I usually don't like when the market takes out a high like this. And then we try to trade this candle. But to be fair, because the higher time frame on the daily time frame was a beautiful EBP. And look at how the market is looking right now. Phenomenal, right? Typically, we're going to have some sort of big expansion. And that's all I'm trying to show you guys. This is the power of understanding EBP candles with structure. You get easy, simple systems and strategies like this. And this is why I emphasize I'm only focused on NQ. And the reason I was only focused on NQ, even though those opportunities everywhere, is because I knew this one had big expansion potential. Now again, now that we're above this high, like if someone took this 4-hour EBP and took like a nice little scalp, that's nice. I would just be a little bit cautious. I do think we're still going to continue higher, if I'm being honest. Like if we look at the weekly candle as the weekly candle is forming right now, it is pushing up, but we've been in such a big consolidation. We do have FOMC tomorrow, so that is something to be mindful of. But this just looks pretty bullish. Unless we somehow, I feel like this is going to be what breaks us out of the range. Don't quote me on this. I don't like, because obviously we're at the top end of the range, but I mean, we've been in such a long consolidation. I do think FOMC might push us higher, even further. But at this point, again, like for me, my targets have been met. I took my piece of the pie. You know, I also got approved for a payout earlier today as well. So I'm happy with this so far. Yeah, and this is why, again, man, this is why, like, people think trading NASDAQ or trading currencies, like, if you're someone who's trading futures only, they think when you're trading currencies, it's a bad thing. And everyone, and to be fair, I even said it on Twitter before. Like, for me, I don't really like FX because it's very slow compared to indices and compared to metals. However, there's still setups on currencies as well. So it doesn't, for me, it doesn't matter really, as long as the higher time frame is there's some sort of setup. Like even euro, and this is why I want to get into as well today. What did we say that we wanted to look for? We wanted to see this high being hit. I mean, look at the move today, man. This is why I say currencies also can move only when there's a higher time frame bias. Why did I say I was focused on currencies before NQ came about, right? Before NQ set up? It was because we had also a weekly EBP. The only problem with this one was we gapped up and we never had any any decent retracement. But even on the daily, even on the 4-hour time frame, what did we have? I'm pretty sure it's right there staring you right in the face. We have a beautiful, first of all, we have one bearish EBP and then we have a bullish EBP, right? So you could have taken the move down during London session, then you could have taken the move up to the high of the weekly high, and look at this expansion. Like, this is the type of stuff, man, that I keep trying to like preach to people, and like you'll have retards, no offense, in my YouTube comment section talking about this doesn't work, and I show you guys EBP is by far the easiest, most simple trading strategy out there. It just is. People will say otherwise, but again, guys, you guys see it time and time again. The problem is people want to try trading mechanically. And the issue with trading something mechanically is like you need to understand context to get better risk to rewards and to have better overall setups. So so if you guys are gonna trade with CFD firms, just be aware, because I've been flagged as well with every single CFD firm I've been traded with. They will put you on a 1% risk limit, irregardless of how you trade, by the way, because like they'll tell you, oh yeah, you're over leveraging, but like you'll literally be risking maybe like 2% on the challenge. To me, that's not over leveraging, you know. So see, I think FTMO though, like from what I've heard from some people, but don't quote me on this, the problem with FTMO is like, first of all, the challenge is very expensive. I think it's like for 100K, because I like the 100K accounts for CFDs. The 100K accounts on CFDs is typically with discounts, like FundedNext, actually I just posted inside the thing, they have 20% off for first time users. So I think their accounts are gonna be like $400. FTMO's is like 600, you know, 630, 640 bucks. Last I checked. And to me, that's pretty high, bro. Like I can literally buy 5 to 6 futures accounts, you know, doing that. And the challenge obviously is much harder on the CFD side. So for me, it doesn't make any sense to use firms like FTMO right now. But because they all limit you to 1% risk. Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, like this is why I constantly preach to people, like higher time frame is the key. Like look at this setup. Even dollar yen had a beautiful 4-hour EBP. Price came in, retested that. I guarantee you, didn't come test the fair value gap. But again, if you just draw out the fib, like we always talk about, it retested the 50%, but also retested this order block, right? This prior structure in here, these prior lows, and then sent the market lower. I mean, you can't ask for a cleaner play. Even pound, same thing, 4-hour EBP. You know, euro, 4-hour EBP. NQ, 4-hour EBP. Like, I'm telling you guys, man, like this is probably one of the more simpler systems by far. And this is the setup that I was talking about here on the prior high. Most people look at this fair value gap and think it's automatically going to get traded to. But the thing is this, you have to understand that the market has this prior high because, okay, so this is a breaker. So swing low. Let me just mark out everything, right? Swing low, swing high. The market takes out this liquidity pool and then we push and break back above. So this high is going to be pretty sensitive to price. And people always ask me this question, how do I know if it's going to be this or this? I don't know in the moment. I have to wait to see, is there going to be some sort of reaction? And it's something that most people don't want to hear, but like, that's just the truth of the matter. And look what happens on this prior high. We get this inversion on this fair value gap. And if you go to the 30-minute, there was also a nice EBP setup right here, right? Took out the prior bar low, closed above the high. We also inverted the 1 hour. At that point, you could just take an entry there, maybe stop loss a little bit below the low or something around here. And then just ride this move out into Asia. Or if let's just say you even missed this move. That's why I said you have this fair value gap. You have this prior high that the market broke back above. So now this becomes our new term structure. And then we just look for the market to retrace before we take out the highs. And again, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, most people will miss this and then they just get discouraged and they just watch something else. Just wait for a pullback, because sometimes the market, again, these are 4-hour bars. So 1, 2, those 4-hour bars are 8 hours. So if you were waiting the whole time, you know, like that's a long wait. And most people don't have the patience for that. But even then, this was what, like over 100-point move? Yeah, like well over 100-point move. Yeah, I took the one in Asia. This 30-minute EBP. And then the first entry, but I'll be honest, I did not hold the full thing because, again, it was late. I don't like holding overnight because then I can't sleep well. So I pretty much just got out here. I was going to look for the retracement and then stuff like that, but I missed the open. I slept in a little bit. But again, man, like I've always told you guys this. Like, I am not someone who wants to, like, I just want to catch my piece of the pie and that's it. Would it have been nice, obviously, to hold the whole way? Yeah, but like if it's 26K is right here, right? That was my first target. I don't want to like fight for these extra few points. Me personally, I don't really care for that. So am I really gonna hold the whole move and then have to possibly deal with a retracement? Like, you know, because this retracement would have been closer. Would have been it wouldn't have been that close to the entry, but still, like if I adjusted my stop loss, you know, it would have got a little bit close. I just don't want to deal with the retracement, to be honest, because at some point the market will retrace. And then you could always, again, like you could always look for entries. That's why I always use a 4-hour structure to guide me through everything, because the 4-hour, from the 4-hour, you can then look for entries as well. Trading is almost impossible without an income. I agree. Most people will tell you. I will say this, man. I think now with prop firms, it is a little bit easier on the mental. I will say that, because at the end of the day, man, like before, we used to have to trade with our own capital. Depending when you got into trading, like I've been around for 8 years. Prop firms were not a thing when I first started. I kind of wish they were, because I probably would have saved more money and probably had more opportunities. When you're younger, like, you know, you just have all these different opportunities to do this. So no, Alicia, so not one, it was a 1-hour inverse fair value gap. So on the 1 hour, we get this right here. We had the bearish fair value gap, we inverted it. But the thing is this, I don't like to trade inversions by itself. It has to have, like, if I go down to lower time frame and I see an EBP like this one, I'm going to be interested to then take that long. Because now the stop loss, because look, the stop loss was not that hard. Okay, I didn't get in on the retest. I got in like around somewhere around here, right? I just bought, stop loss was pretty much right there. Some people don't like this type of a stop loss, because what happens is the market comes down, hits the prior high support and then rallies higher, right? That's a very real concern. For me, I'm like, all right, I'm looking to target around 26K, right? I got out like right here. I didn't get out like right there. Exactly at 26K. Again, I got pretty close. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was 26K. I just had it wrong. I know I got out on that candle. This was 3R. I did not take the full risk in the event that this comes back, just like I talked about in that video that I sent you guys, because I don't want to risk like losing a full 1R going into, like, let's just say the market does start to consolidate, because sometimes that will happen. But once we start to see expansion move higher, then I'm more comfortable. And obviously, like in hindsight, I should have, like, people be like, oh, you just went the full position. But I've traded in Asia a lot of times, man. Sometimes the market will just consolidate in Asia. It'll look good at the open, and then maybe we start to consolidate. So to avoid that potential full 1R risk, I'll just risk half an R, because that was a 3R move. So realistically, it was 1.5R return. which is still very, very solid. And mind you, it would have been much higher had I held and maybe add to the position. But again, man, like trading Asia session is brutal here in the States because I was up until like 2:30. You guys saw the messages like 3 o'clock. So it's like, it's tough sometimes. Okay. And even with metals, man, like that's what I'm saying. Like this was a nice setup here on metals right there. You get this fair value gap. We're above Asia range high, and then silver starts having a move lower. 2 p.m. 4-hour candle with a 15-minute market structure shift. I hit the bottom of the new. I'm trading CFDs. Yeah, exactly. That's a whole model right there, man. That's a whole model right there. Beautiful, man. AUD USD. I'm telling you, man, there was like so many setups, even 4-hour EBP as well on this. Like absolute. And now we're print. Now again, this is pretty this is a pretty crazy run up on the Aussie. If I'm saying, let me see how many pips that is. And now, the thing is this, I want everyone in here, whether you're someone who trades futures or whether you're someone who trades currencies, be in, like, it's all the same stuff, guys. Trust me, I know, because I was that same person who was like so worried. I was scared to get into futures, to be honest. That's why it took me so long to pivot, because I'm like, my edges in FX, or like I've been trading CFDs and I'm more comfortable with those platforms. I mean, sure, you do have to adjust to like the platforms and stuff. But in my opinion, like it's just so much easier to trade multiple different assets. And again, as I said, if you're trading with your own personal account, or if you want to trade everything all under one, you can just trade with a CFD prop firm or a CFD broker. And then you could trade indices, you could trade gold, you could trade currencies. You don't have to worry about that. The problem that I have with currencies on futures is the price action looks a little bit ugly, to be honest. Like if you look at 6E, like you see how it's like if you go to the 1 hour, it looks just, the candles are just very like wonky. It's because it's like lower volume compared to like actual futures contracts. But again, maybe it's just like, just me being a little bit anal about that. But yeah. Yeah, man, you guys see, bro, you guys have seen it, man. And that's why because it's just crazy to me how like some people block their own blessings. Because the amount of times people tell me on YouTube that this doesn't work and, oh yeah, you're just bullshitting. It's like, listen, bro, you guys can do whatever you want. The people that are willing to put in the work and the people that are willing to actually go through this will see how easy of a simple system. And not only that, you can monetize this on a consistent weekly basis. The people that will put in the work will put in the work and maximize their opportunities. What's going on? What's going on? What about the 4-hour ABP now on GJ? Let's see. Where's GJ? The only problem with trading GBP JPY right now is the pound is going up, right? So the pound has a lot of strength, and dollar yen is like bearish right now. So when you have these two conflicting forces, GJ typically will consolidate. That's the only thing I will say about this one. Because again, so like the way that not to get into like the whole cross currencies and stuff like that, but if GBP is going up and JPY is going down, you're typically going to have GBP JPY, which is a mix of these two, essentially going to be in consolidation because you have two opposing forces going against each other. Ideally, sometimes you would, like if you have GBP USD going up and then JPY is going up, or let's just say GBP is going down and JPY is going down, when you have them both in the same direction, that's when you have a huge move on the cross currency. So right now, again, this could still play out, but it's just having this kind of conflicting thing on the cross pairs is, yeah. That's why I don't really like cross pairs too much, because cross pairs, there's a little bit more of a correlation that has to be associated with this. This is a good point, man. A lot of people, and I had the same issue of buying high. Now, you have to remember what's considered buying high. When you go to NQ, for example, right, is this really buying high? Not really, because if you zoom out, if you zoom out to the daily time frame, the daily is in consolidation. So all we would be doing is getting back to the top end of the range, you know, and we had a daily EBP as well. So it's not like this was anything. You might look like, the thing is this, if you go to the 15-minute time frame and then you look at it from like, wow, I don't want to be buying here, the market is so high up, I agree, you could think that. But the problem is on the 4-hour time frame as well, you know, even the 4 hours, this is not really buying that high when the market has potential to run up higher. It's more of a psychological thing. Now again, would I buy right here? I would understand if like maybe someone's more conservative and didn't want to buy up here, because it's now, like, again, we're above prior highs. We've had this sustained move run. I could understand someone not wanting to buy up here, to be honest. But over here, you shouldn't be, in my opinion, you should not be that scared to buy this or to look for a buy entry here, because this is only one move. This is only one impulse leg, right? So, and the market had a retracement. This is, I know it's minor, but it had a retracement. And now you got to see, hey, is the market now starting to close above prior swing points? If it is, now the market just shifting into more bullish structure. So it's all relative, to where we are on the higher time frame. Ibrahim, check the description in my Telegram chat. They're pinned inside of the Telegram. But yeah, guys, just quick overview on that. I wanted to just show, yeah, because again, I want to also show you guys like the same thing on euro, and this just keeps pumping, which is crazy. Like dollar is absolutely cooked. Like this on one, that's crazy. Euro in 1 day, 133 pips. Pound in 1 day, what is that, like 200 pips? No, 120. Okay. But you see, like, these are massive, massive move, even in currencies. And they all have 4-hour EBPs, man. Now, I'll be honest, FOMC is tomorrow, so I'm probably going to take it easy. I'm just going to wait to see what happens, because I don't want to get it twisted. We're still inside of a consolidation. So, and indices but do I think we're finally going to break? I think if we close above here, I do think if we do close above here, we might have that move to all-time highs. ES is also having strong bullish indication as well. If we switch over to the weekly time frame, we are starting to head higher. The monthly candle is going to close in 3 days, pretty much by the end of the week. So even the monthly candle is looking strong. And Q looks like we've formed this swing, and now we're going to head to maybe new all-time highs. So everything's still looking bullish, to be honest. So I'm leaning bullish, continued bullishness so far until we'll see what happens on FOMC, to be fair. But yeah, this doesn't look like it's going to just take out the highs and reject. I would be shocked, to be honest. If we do take out the high and reject, then I guess we're going to be playing inside this range for a little while. I'm used to Top Step X. Any advice to pass Apex before I purchase it? So Apex, this is the thing. I think Apex is great only if you're someone who's going to want to get bigger payouts. So if you're only going to trade anywhere, this is my personal opinion. If you want to trade like about 1 to maybe like 2 accounts consistently on futures, Apex is not going to be the better option. Apex is for the, so let me just, because I want to clarify that which type of person should go for Apex. If you're only going to trade 1 to 2 accounts, right, because you're trying to build up the thing, go with like Top Step, go with even My Funded Futures has a good program. That's the one I'm going to probably talk about a little bit more inside my prop chat. FundedNext Futures also has a good program. I've gotten multiple payouts from them on my trying to get my 3rd one now. So with the futures accounts, if you're going to go for like 1 to 2, try to get like these smaller payouts. In my opinion, Top Step, FundedNext Futures, My Funded Futures, all these different ones, you can go. However, Apex, if you're someone who has the capital and you're someone who wants to possibly get these bigger payouts, and you want to trade maybe like, 7 to like 10 accounts, to be fair, even like 5 accounts, you could do pretty well. And you want to kind of like go for a big uncapped payout, Apex is the place for you. Because the problem with every other firm is like you're capped. And even when they also transition you to live. With Apex, if you're up, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys have seen it, if you're up, let's just say, okay, let's just do the math, right? Let's just say you have 7 accounts on Apex, 7 accounts. And let's just say you can run those accounts up to maybe 20K per account. let's say even 10K. Let's just not even like 10K, which I think a lot of people. Obviously it's difficult in the beginning when you have the trailing drawdown, but whatever. Let's just say you have 10K per account. That's 70K in profits that you have on those accounts. The problem is most other futures firms, if they transition you to live, you forfeit some of this money. Like some futures firms, you won't, for number one, you won't be able to have 7 accounts with most futures firms. But even if you had like 5 or 6 accounts, let's say 5 accounts, and you had 70K in profits, some futures firms have that 70K profits. Like they're gonna only give you maybe like 30K of this if you want to request a payout if they transition you to live, some money into the live account. That is kind of like, that doesn't make any, I understand it from their perspective, is like they're kind of like, they're just what's the word I'm looking for? They're just protecting their downside, really, realistically. With Apex, if you can get 6 payouts, right, which would take a few months, you can unlock all of this, and then you could take the full payout. And like, yeah, you probably will get banned, but like you made $70,000. Now think about this, right? If you had 20 accounts and you were able to do, again, $10,000 per account, even if it takes like 2 months, right? $10,000 per account, you're up 200 grand. No other, and again, no other firm are you getting this type of leverage. So Apex is for those people that want to go ahead and try to get these bigger payouts. Now, again, if you're someone who's like let's say you just want to like trade 1 or 2 accounts and you're still like building up the confidence, you're building up your strategy, do not go with Apex. Apex is for more advanced people. And I always preach this because I'm not gonna just tell you, oh yeah, Apex. No, like Apex is only for those that are more advanced and they're trying to get those bigger payouts, and maybe they're able to fund, like buy more accounts with these payouts. Like I just got a payout right now from Alpha Capital on my CFD account. So now on the 90%, I'm gonna try to buy a few of these Apex accounts because they're pretty cheap. So yeah. But if not, then just buy more. Like in my opinion, most people should probably max out Top Step. I know they have platform issues, but just strictly on like the rule sets, it's much easier to get a payout on Top Step than it is to get a payout on Apex. I found that when DX1 and USD have 4 hour at the same time, it's very high probability. Yep. I mean, dude, there was so many plays today. Like it was honestly crazy. And now like the dollar is just like absolutely tanking. Let me see the yearly chart. Even the yearly chart just looks like this is going to go to absolute hell. This was what, January? This was 1984. Crazy. This the 08 dollar was worth 70 cents on the dollar. Insane. Asia's session, I've said it before, is 7 to 9 p.m. EST. That's like the kill zone. EST for Asia. I do, but like, do I want to buy it up here right now? I'll be honest. This does look pretty bullish, man. Like I don't think we're gonna stop. But tomorrow's FOMC. You know, do I really want to risk it right now? I will say this again. I'll say this: if we close above here, right? We still have 5 hours to go. If we close above there, I kind of hope, and I don't think this will happen. I kind of hope that maybe tomorrow on FOMC nothing really happens and we close as a doji. If we close as a doji and then we have a fair value gap that forms, then Thursday becomes something I would really like, something like that. But as of right now, it's like, do I want to buy right above the highs inside of, because we're still in a consolidation, right? Like don't get it twisted. I think we're going to go higher, but we're at the high end of the range. So I need to wait for another setup now. Because sometimes you can have a bias, but you need a setup in order to go along with the bias. But yeah. I want to transition from Forex to futures, but should I wait to be seem like it has its yeah, I mean, listen, man, if you're not consistently profitable, it's like everything has its pros and cons. CFDs versus futures, right? Let's just talk about like for prop firms, right? What's the benefit? So let's just talk about CFD pros. In my personal opinion, it's easier to get a payout. Actually, let's do this, right? Let's break it down. I want to make a video about this, but honestly, guys, sometimes truthfully, I kind of get lazy making these YouTube videos, man. But it's easier to get a payout in CFDs, by far. Better payout splits. because you get 80%. What else? There's one more. Oh yeah, you can hold positions overnight. So it's easier to get a payout. You have 80% splits and you can hold positions overnight. Now the major con. Well, there's two main cons, right? CFD cons is harder challenge, definitely. It's not even comparable. You can get funded in futures in literally like 1 day. Like some of these like FundedNext futures rapid accounts, you can get funded in 1 day. They do have 40% consistency though on the funded. So even Apex, you can get funded in 1 day. Like so that's gonna be the pros for the futures. But CFDs, bro, like it's a harder challenge by far, because you have 2 phases. Phase 1, which is 8%, and then phase 2, which is 5%. Now, you can do a 1-step challenge. So they do have a 1-step challenge. Like for example, FundedNext has the Stellar challenge, which is only 1 step with FundedNext, right? Those accounts is only 10% for phase 1, and that's it. But like they lower your drawdown, so you only have 3% daily drawdown, and I think 6% overall drawdown. So obviously there's going to be some level of they're going to have to make it up somewhere else. So you could do that, right? If maybe someone doesn't, because you do end up saving 13%, because this total is going to be 13% versus 10% phase 1. I think Funding Pips also has a very similar challenge to this as well. Okay, now the futures pros. Much easier challenge. Like it's not even comparable, bro. Much easier challenge. Can get funded in 1 to 3 days on average for most evaluations, and price is pretty cheap. Like you can buy a 50K account for $70. It's pretty insane. Now, what's the cons, right? Because everything has pros and cons. More rules to follow. Lower payouts. Most of them are pretty much 50%. It's not even 50%. It's even lower, because if you make $5,000, right, you can only withdraw 50% of this. You can only withdraw 2,500, and then from this 2,500, it's, depending on the firm, anywhere between an 80 to 90% split. So you're realistically making 40. Like the payouts are realistically going to be like 40%. I tweeted about this earlier as well. What else? Really, that's it. More rules to follow, lower payouts, and also transition to live. The transition to live, in my opinion, makes 0 sense. Like no one can explain it to me. It doesn't make any sense. And the transition to live is like again, if you could have a big balance and then you just forfeit your profits. That's why again, as much shit as people give Apex, right? The reality is with Apex, like if you make 100K across all your accounts, if they want to transition you to live, they're gonna give you the option to either transition or take your 100K. Most other firms are not gonna do that. So yeah, and yeah, someone said the CFD is also no consistency rule. So no consistency at all. So not even in the eval, not in the funded, in futures, that's also a con. Consistency rule either on funded or eval. Like you're gonna have the consistency rule on at least one of them. So yeah. Yeah, in my opinion, it will, like if you're gonna transition from CFD props to futures props, it's a learning curve 100%. Because there's way more rules, and CFDs is pretty straightforward. You have your 8% phase 1, 5% phase 2, daily drawdown, etc. I will say this also, one futures props is no daily loss limit. And then also in that same breath, the cons is you have trailing drawdown. This trailing drawdown does stop after a certain point, but it does exist. So again, you see like this, pretty straightforward. This, so many different elements to it. Now, this, in my opinion, has more leverage because if you get 10 accounts, even if you're not trading with Apex, let's say you have like 5 Top Step accounts, and then maybe you have 5 FundedNext futures accounts, right? And you have 10 accounts, and each account, maybe you're copy trading them, maybe you're trading them individually, maybe you're doing a combination. If you get $2,000 payouts from 10 accounts, that's 20 grand. Now, obviously, in order to get that $2,000 payout, you have to pretty much make at least $5,000 profit across every single account. So I'm not saying this is easy because, again, the 50% payouts, that's kind of like going to ruin it. But yeah. Um, so I actually have a so give me so the video that I was talking about in the prop Telegram. I'm actually going to talk about this tomorrow because I was actually I looked at Lucid because again I'm trying to add to my accounts right now. Um, I want to add like because again I don't want to be all in on one firm right now. All my futures like for the futures I'm just trading with FundedNext futures and Top Step, right? But I do want to expand that as well. And I'm also probably going to buy Apex, to be honest, because now with that 90%, I was waiting for the 90% off. I didn't take advantage last time, but now I'm probably going to take advantage this time around. But Lucid Flex is definitely one of those. So okay, so just brief overview while we're here. The problem with Lucid, right? Everyone talks about so like you can get the 50K accounts, right? So the 50K accounts on Lucid. Let me just make sure I'm checking the right challenge though. Because I know one of them, the one that I was interested in, I think it was the Flex Challenge. But let me just make sure because I don't want to say something that's incorrect. Okay, yeah. So okay, perfect. So the Lucid Flex is the one that I was talking about. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just checking on the other screen because again, I just want to make sure I'm talking about the correct challenge. Let me just make sure. Okay, so the Lucid Flex account right now is actually pretty cheap, right? A lot of people have been talking about like you can get an account, even the 25K account, you can get that for very, very cheap. Like almost, I think the 25K you can get it as low as $70, something like that, right? With the discount code, I think they're even doing a 40% off. So I think even the 50K account is like around $70, something like that. I have to double check. The reason why it is like this, because some people are like, well, isn't that too cheap, right? Lucid has a max cap payout of 2K. So on the 50K account, you can only withdraw up to $2,000. So that's where they get you, right? Because it's the same exact, bro, it's the same exact challenge as Top Step. The only difference is Top Step, you can request a payout at least 5K, right? The maximum payout a request per account is going to be maximum $5,000, right? So like let's just say on Top Step you run it up and you make like $15,000, right? You can only withdraw 50% of that, which is going to be $7,500 or 5K, whichever is less. So in this example, if you made $15,000 on the 50K account, you would only be able to draw 15K. I'm sorry, you'll be able to withdraw 5K because that's the maximum that you can withdraw per payout. Same, but with Lucid, imagine you make with Lucid, let's just say $6,000. If you make $6,000 on the 50K account, you can only withdraw a maximum of 2K, right? Because 50% of this is going to be $3,000. That's going to be what's going to be eligible to withdraw. However, because of this rule, you can only withdraw 2,000. Because now imagine you made $6,000 with Top Step, right? If you made $6,000 with Top Step, 50% of that 3,000, you can withdraw 3,000 no problem. So that's why the Lucid accounts are cheaper because they have a lot more strict payout cap. Yeah, I mean, bro, there's so many firms. It's like that's the thing with future CFDs. It's very easy. Everyone's the same. With CFD firms, you don't have to go through the FAQs. You don't have to do any research. They're all the same pretty much, right? For the most part. But with futures, there's so many different plans. There's so many different rules for each different plan. That's why for me, I'm just looking through which plan for each firm. I'm not going to go do every single plan for every single firm. For me, Lucid Flex was a good option. I'm going to check out my funded futures. I think they got rid of their core plan. So, yeah. Bitcoin. Let's go over Bitcoin. I'll be honest, man. I'm not really sure. I think originally I'm thinking that this right here is going to send price lower because we had this fair value gap, and if we go on the monthly time frame, what did we have? I'm sorry, the quarterly time frame, we had an EBP. So when I go down to the weekly, we had this fair value gap, we rejected it, and then what do we have here? We created an order block. So to me, this still looks pretty bearish. And then down to this low. But we'll see because maybe this recovers, maybe it doesn't. With FOMC tomorrow, it'll be interesting. I do think though that we should remain below at the very least 93K, 93,500 if we're gonna head lower down to this new low. Ideally, to be honest, ideally we don't even take out this high. So this high is kind of like the line in the sand. I mean, maybe it comes up to this fair value gap and then maybe like rejects, but realistically, it should not go real. Ideally, 93, 94K ish. There's a lot of imbalances here, so that's why I'm not trying to be like too stern on this. But I still think we're gonna head lower. But we did take out a bunch of lows. Are we gonna have a little bit of retracement higher going into FOMC? You know, I don't know. But there's a clear higher time frame draw down to below 80K. So I'm gonna stick with this. Yeah, CFD has swaps and spreads, of course. Again, listen, everything's going to have pros and cons. And again, CFD also gives static drawdown, which is also good because then you don't have to worry about the trailing. But to be honest, you don't have to worry about the trailing drawdown in futures after, like, you know, if you build up the account. That is the pro as well because the drawdown, the trailing drawdown does stop after a while. All right, let me answer these last few questions. So what or width of the pros out there is best for you? If you're talking about futures firms, to be honest, I've always said it. I think Top Step is by far the best. They have had platform issues, but the reason why you don't see most influencers talking about Top Step is because Top Step doesn't have an affiliate program. I guarantee if Top Step had an affiliate program, you'll see way more people talking about them. But for me, again, I'm just trying to give you guys the honest truth about like what firms are best for you, are best for what circumstance. Apex, if you're trying to run it up, Apex is definitely for you. If Top Step, if you want like consistent payouts and like you want like for a good price, Top Step is all my friends. I recommend them to go to Top Step as well. FundedNext Futures also has like a good program as well. The legacy accounts, no consistency rule. It is a little bit higher priced, but they do have a max cap payout of $6,000. So that's probably why it's a little bit on the higher end side in terms of price point. But if you're looking for like something with a decent payout cap and good pricing, nothing is beating Top Step. Again, I could check my funded futures because I've heard a lot of good things about them as well. But yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, man, it's not like you don't have to only use props. You can use personal accounts as well. Just make sure that if you're going to use personal accounts or like you have to like for me, for example, I'm always going to distinguish what I'm going to be using. So like, for example, if I'm going to be trading with a higher, like if I look for a higher time frame play that I want to hold on a trade like this, for example, I'm going to use this more so on personal accounts, sometimes CFDs. But again, the problem with CFDs is like the drawdown going into the new day gets adjusted. So there's room for both, to be honest. That's the beautiful part about it. Again, like I have CFD accounts as well. So it's not like you have to choose futures or CFDs. My CFD accounts, I just like to have them because I feel like they're easier to get payouts. I can get consistent $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 payouts, you know, on a consistent bi-weekly basis. And then for futures, I'm going to try to trade those a little bit longer, try to build a buffer, trying to make more money so I can withdraw the minimum, you know? Yeah, I'm guessing, yeah, if you're talking about the Lucid one, yeah, if you're a first time, you get a bigger discount as well. I think they're also, again, they're running a 40% promo. That's the reason why I'm trying to like stack up on some of these accounts now that I got a few payouts from. And that's the key, guys. You always want to make sure when you're buying challenges, you're using the money that you're making from payouts. Obviously, in the beginning, you're going to have to fund it yourself from a job or whatever. But once you get consistent enough, it becomes this game of like, okay, if you make, let's just say you make $1,000 from like one prop firm, you can buy, you know, like let's say the average account is $90 for futures as an example. You can buy pretty much almost 10 accounts. Now, would I spend the whole amount? That's up to you how aggressive you want to be, but that's the beautiful part about it. You get that $1,000 payout, you can start funding and you really can start scaling up pretty quick. On the 4-hour PO3, what triggers you to enter and how do you know what direction the 4-hour candle will go? Typically, if I see like, okay, it's very simple. If I see bullish market structure, right, and I see a very clear draw on liquidity, if the 4-hour bar, like let's say there's a fair value gap here, right? Like this is an example, right? If I see that there's a clear bullish market structure and I see this, whenever a 4-hour candle opens, like it could have even happened on this candle right here, to be honest, this inside bar, but it didn't. So every single time I'm going to look for the candle open and then the market to drop down into that area inside a bullish market structure. So if a 4-hour candle opens here, I'm going to look for this. Now I can either buy that straight up if I have a clear stop loss in place, or you can wait for a 15-minute break of structure and then look for the continued move higher. It's very, 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 very simple. Okay, I'm gonna go phone call. Prop firm bubble ending soon. I'll be honest, I've said it before. I think the golden age of prop firms for futures is going to be over sometime this week. I mean, this week, I'm sorry, this year. It's not going to be ending that fast. But I do think so, man, because it's the same things that happen in the CFD space. Every single time, history repeats itself. My bad, guys. Just going through some emails. I'm just getting a bunch of notifications. Do I have my phone on Do Not Disturb? I'm getting so many notifications. Yeah, take advantage while you can. I'll be honest, man. So like, I'll end it on this note, right? With prop firms, you definitely. I don't want to say this to rush anyone because I know how this can sound like, oh my god, like I gotta take advantage right now, and you have this FOMO, right? With prop firms, you just want to make sure you're not slacking. Like, don't be the person who, oh yeah, I just bought this EVA, I'll eventually get to it. Like, no, trading requires you to be in front of your charts every single day. And you don't want to, like, I was actually going to tweet about this. You don't want to be the person who's looking for a setup. You want to be the person who's waiting for a setup. And I know some people are going to be like, bro, that's the same thing. Like, what are you talking about? You want to be the person when you come to the charts that, okay, I'm going to come to the charts. Okay, is there something here for me to trade, or is there an opportunity? That's how you want to view it. You don't go into the marketplace like, okay, what's setting up today? What's setting up today? You know, like, it's a different type of energy when you're looking for a setup versus waiting for one. So for me right now, right, if I want to be like, oh, well, I got to find something today, you know, like, look at the difference in the energy versus I'm like, all right, well, we already cleared this high. I'm going to have to kind of wait now to see what happens on this daily close. Look at the difference, right? I'm just waiting to see what happens now. And if I see something like that, like a fair value gap that forms maybe inside bar tomorrow, good, you know? If I don't get a sub, no problem, because there's eventually one that's going to come. Same thing, like imagine I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, well, I really want to take a trade today. And I see this right now, and I don't see anything on this setup, right? Right now, this is consolidation. And then I'm like, oh, but let me go down to the 1 hour. Oh, well, we did kind of reject this high, you know? And then like, oh, well, this is a change of state of delivery on the 15-minute time frame. Let me just take a short here, right? I'm pretty sure we've all done that. And there's no shame in it because as traders, I feel like we all have very similar experiences. But the thing is this, every single time I come to the charts, I'm going to look for, hey, am I going to be able to find an opportunity today? I'm not going to sit here. Like if I don't see anything, I'm not going to sit here just staring at the 4-hour time frame. And that's why I don't like live streaming, because it's like pointless sometimes, because unless the setup is literally right there, there's no point. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. All right. But yeah, guys, gotta go. Gotta get something done real quick. But yeah, thanks for hopping on, guys, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm done for the day. I'm not going to trade anything. There's no setups here. So I'm just going to wait to see what happens going into FOMC tomorrow. And then as always, we'll update you guys on Telegram. So peace.